So I'm here with Alan Bahr from the Tiny D6 system and Gallant Knight Games. And Alan, you've been making a lot of Tiny D6 systems and different genres. Can you just tell us about how that all kind of came to be and all the different genres?
So we started with Tiny Fontiers, which was our space opera game. And then we moved into other genres. Mechas and Monsters was our second, and it kind of went from there. We really love Tiny D6 because it's a minimalist, rules, light way to play the game. You can get in and roll the dice and move on to the next step without too much fuss or mess. So, and it really works well for a lot of genres. Like it's easy to do anything in it. So, big fan of it. Obviously, I mean,
Cool.
It's our game.
Cool. So, do you want to walk us through some of the different games that you have?
Yeah. So we don't just publish Tiny D6. We publish a variety of stuff. So there's a lot of different rule sets represented in the Gallant Knight Games stable. So over here we have Zorro, which is powered by the Weston Games D6 engine, the classic Star Wars Ghostbusters.
Yep.
We've got Great American Witch and Great American Novel, which are heavily modified story games written by Chris Gray. He's an Emmy award-winning writer, wrote Happiest Apocalypse on Earth. For Coin and Blood, which is a grimdark, old-school D20 vibe to it. Temples and Tombs, Chris Gray again with the Mutant Year Zero engine, OGL game. Lighthearted by Kurt and Katie Potts. It's got its own kind of narrative system that plays out. You play like sort of high school students with powers or magic, kind of like an X-Men meets Breakfast Club vibe going on here. Things That Go Squeak in the Night is our latest release. It's a heavily modified Powered by the Apocalypse. You play mice who protect children from things that go squeak, bump in the night, and demons and monsters and such. The Hero's Journey is a folkloric fantasy, old school D20 game written by James Spahn. Advanced Tiny Dungeon was our April Fool's release this year. It is a more complicated version of Tiny D6.
And that was it was an April Fool's joke, but that turned into a product, right?
No, we released the whole product as April Fool's joke. It's a fully playable game.
Okay.
It just adds more rules to the Tiny D6 system to make it more advanced. So, people were asking for stuff, and as a kind of a joke, we wanted to do something that kind of honored that, but also poked a little bit of fun at ourselves, because we're always so minimalist and rules light, so we went a little less with that. So.
Cool.
And then we've got Tiny Supers, a variety of expansions for Tiny Supers, the Destiny of Tides campaign setting for a Tiny Dungeon written by Robert Denton III. He's a fantastic writer. It's a fully underwater fantasy setting. And then we've got Tiny Taverns, again by Robert. It's a folklore, it's a slice of life, kind of wholesome Miyazaki meets retired fantasy adventures in a tavern vibe to it. Really great. Tiny Frontiers Revised, the revised system of our first game, still Tiny D6. Mechas and Monsters, our Kaiju versus Robots game where you can play either Kaiju or robots. And Tiny Cthulhu, our Lovecraftian horror game, our most recent big core Tiny release.
Cool, and as an independent game designer and running your own company, how has Gen Con been for you?
It's been really good this year. We've had a great time. Across the board, it's been a really positive experience. For probably our best Gen Con ever in all metrics that I could think of. So.
Cool. Well, hopefully I can have you on the show for a more in-depth of your history and your background.
Love to.
Thanks for your time today, and best of luck for the rest of the convention.
Thank you. My pleasure.